Greetings and namaste. This is Shiva, your friendly neighborhood wellness co-creator, coming at you with our mission, wellness for all. So you're maybe looking at me wondering, okay, what is this guy up to today? Alright, this position is more or less malasana. Now, what is malasana? Well, in yogic terms, it helps harness upon vayu, which is the wind of elimination, literally. And given my position, I think it's not necessarily required that I explain what might be eliminated. The good news is, though, I have done my morning routine for the day, and this is a safe space to be, knowing what I've had since morning and where I am in my digestion colonic elimination cycle. So don't worry. But the point I'm trying to make is that of our physical posture of elimination. I grew up in India, and in my early days, whether it was school or a rented house that we stayed in, or even what we called the annex, or where the helpers of the house stayed, bathrooms had the hole in the ground, right? So there's this hole in the ground with a little porcelain frame around it. You go sit on it, do your thing, you wash up and get up, right? But look at the utility of that. Not only was it yogic, it was also practical and quick, because in this position you are creating the ideal setup for elimination, right? And not only that, you are strengthening this whole lower body. You're strengthening the core. Ideally, you want to sit up straight. And I've seen various positions over time, especially folks selling maybe some things on the street, vegetable vendors, things of that nature back in the day. Not as commonplace anymore, except the further into the hinterland you go, the more you see that, or the smaller towns, cities, and less modern villages. But people would sit like this even when they're not doing the job, right? Doing the number two. And so I just think about how over time, as we got these raised toilets, and we started calling the hole in the ground the Indian toilets, and the raised toilets Western toilets, right? And now it's a whole different experience. And there's a interesting hybrid too that I saw, where you had sort of that porcelain frame, where you had the option of lifting the lid of the Western toilet and sitting on the frame that resembled the old frame, but of course it didn't have as elegant a design of preventing splashes maybe, but you could do that if you wanted to, and maybe that's too graphic for you, so pardon me setting up that visualization for you. But if you look at my position here, after a point, I'm going to start to feel my body. I'm going to start to feel, something needs relief, which is a good thing, right? My body's telling me that, okay, you've eliminated what you had to maybe. Now it's time to get up. You don't want other stuff happening. Starts with an H, hemorrhoids, too much pressure down there. And but where I'm going with this is that over time, as we adopt some lifestyle habits and practices, we also lose certain things. And the unconscious mind or the unconscious body will not be tuned into these losses. I've looked at my dad, I've looked at my mom, I've looked at so many around me that over time lose their ability to squat. And I think squatting is like a gift. It is something you can do anywhere, and besides, it's multifaceted nature of elimination, of just being a good seated position when you don't have any place to sit down necessarily. It's just a great flexibility and strength technique to do anywhere and everywhere. So if a client is in a position where they are able to get to that place of squatting, or they want to build greater range of motion or flexibility, I tell them, squat, just squat. See anything that is below eye level as an opportunity to squat. Get down there. I personally, I've been lazy bones. I pick stuff up. Instead of squatting, I will bend from my back and do this. No, I want to get down as close to the ground as possible. Hey, if you want to go the extra mile, bonus round, go all the way face down. Pick that thing up from wherever it is. With kids in the house, there's plenty of picking up to do. So you don't want to go too crazy with that the first day. But the thing is that you want to recognize those opportunities to squat. And rather than maybe setting aside that hour and a half to maybe power lift or, do this killer body weight exercise that you've been waiting to do all week and waiting for that time to free up, just squat when you can, as much as you can, safely, and notice how your body responds. Over time, you might be able to squat deeper. Over time, you might be able to squat longer. Over time, you might be able to see the benefits of how that helps eliminate not just the food waste of our body, stuff that our body says, I don't need this, let it go, but also the mental tightness. As we squat, we take in air differently. It's not the same as bending down. Because in squatting, like I said, ideally you want your spine to be erect, and that really influences the flow of prana. And like I said, Ayurveda, the science of life, is all about integrating life into integrating prana into everyday acts, whether it's waking up, whether it's going to sleep, whether it's cooking food, whether it's doing yoga, whether it's working, choosing your vocation according to your prakriti, and avoiding things that create conditions of vikriti, imbalance, doshic imbalance. But back to the main point, I'd love for you to think about squatting. Have you ever squatted? If so, how did it feel? And if you liked squatting, or it just became a part of your lifestyle, did it continue the same way? How did it change over time? What made it change? And what was the result of that change? What could you tie some of the outcomes of those changes to? So just a little note for today. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and let's continue the journey, all right? This is Shiva, signing off for now. You'll see more of me too. So stay tuned. Adios.